Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really happy today because we're going to be talking with Katie Bruno, and she is a financial planner with Maury and Quinn Wealth Partners. What Katie brings to her financial planning practice is a gift for building relationships and genuine concern for where people are in their lives. She is experienced and interested in the capital markets while understanding that each client's situation is unique and there is no one investment strategy that is the same for every client. While Katie serves a very diverse group of clients, she specializes in working with women who are faced with immediate financial decisions as a result of life-changing events. Her disciplined process is about meeting clients where they are, figuring out where they want to go, and creating a roadmap to meet their unique needs. Katie is a certified financial planner professional, as well as she has credentials for working with divorced women, and I'll let her tell us more about that. So Katie, tell me more about some of those credentials that I skipped over.
Great. Thank you, Tammy, and thank you for having me as a guest on your podcast. As you mentioned, I am a certified financial planner, and I'm also a certified divorce financial analyst. And what that means is that when someone is experiencing a divorce, there are a lot of financial decisions that need to be made. And as an analyst, I can help with the numbers part and the math and become a person who isn't involved in the divorce emotionally, because divorce brings a lot of emotions, and money brings a lot of emotions. And so having someone, a third party there to walk you through, educate you on the numbers, help advise the clients and attorneys on how divorce and marital assets should be split up in a way that's fair for both parties. I am additionally have my master's degree in investment management and financial analysis.
So you have quite an extensive background in that. So with that, so obviously you must like numbers, but tell me a little bit more how you became interested in becoming a financial planner.
Sure. So I started in this business in 2013, and I had no experience with money. Both of my parents lived paycheck to paycheck, had never saved much money. I didn't really even understand the concept of an IRA or a savings account. When I was in college, I wanted to get a summer job that would keep me here in Omaha, and so I applied for an internship with a financial advisor, and my summer job was just to make his office paperless. But I very quickly started teaching myself about all of the documents I scanned in, and I was very fascinated. And from there, I became an assistant, and from there, I became a paraplanner, which is the person behind the scenes who's building the financial plans and explaining it all to the clients and working with the clients. And I realized that I was doing a lot of the work as a financial advisor, and that's what I wanted to do. And so once I had realized, you know what, I can do this, and getting to see people enjoy their money, that's one of the best parts about this job, is getting to see people enjoy their money and do it with a way that is rewarding to them, and not having to have stress about money. So I decided I was going to be a financial advisor, and started working on all my credentials to do that. And 3 years ago, I was offered an opportunity to purchase a practice from an advisor here in Omaha. And so I took advantage of every opportunity that has been given to me over the last 9 years and 8 years, and that's how I got to where I am.
Wow, that's interesting how you took an internship and discovered, it sounds like your calling to become this financial planner. So tell me a little bit more about who you serve and why you went down that particular path.
Sure. So I am passionate about making women feel comfortable with their money and making decisions around their money. And I think there are a lot of misconceptions and fears out there that I'm sure we'll get to later. But once you start working in this business and you realize people really need guidance and need someone to help them understand it. We aren't born, knowing what our credit score is or why you shouldn't pay for things on a credit card or what's a retirement account or how do I get there? And so working with people, it starts with education. And then we start putting together a plan and then following a plan. And so my client base is a very diverse client base. I particularly enjoy working with women who are going through life-changing events, whether that's a divorce, losing a spouse, being forced to retire, or even more recently in the pandemic, being let go from a job and not knowing where to do. Because when you really sit down with them and educate them and help them create a plan, they either realize they're not in as bad of a place as they thought they were, or they leave feeling a sense of hope. Like, okay, I have a plan. I can't control all these things that have just happened to me, whether that's my divorce or losing my spouse or being forced to move from my job. But what I can control is my path forward. And I think that financial planning really gives people that glimpse of hope.
Since you brought it up, you talked about some of the dilemmas that women might face. You mentioned divorce, widowhood, maybe even sometimes they might inherit money from a parent. Can you address some of those financial pitfalls that somebody might have to look at that maybe they just at this moment don't even have a clue about?
Yep. So I think the first one is, how am I going to pay my bills? People, that's the first concern everyone has when they're going through divorce or they lost their spouse or all those things. One, how am I going to pay my bills? And income, right? That's all about the income coming in and the cash flow. And that's really the first question we have to tackle is, how much are you spending and how much do you have coming in and how are we going to address that gap? I think when it comes to divorce, one of the financial pitfalls we could talk about is maybe not having enough cash on hand just going through the divorce. That's one of the things we talk about. Same thing with losing a spouse. You need cash immediately. And then as time goes, you become in a different mindset where you can make some of those longer term financial decisions, such as, am I on track to retire? Or maybe you're already retired. I know I have several clients who are widows who they just never paid their bills. They have no realistic concept of what bills actually are and how they're going to get that money. So addressing how they're going to live in retirement or how they're going to pay their bills, insurance planning. Okay, do I need insurance? I'm divorced. Addressing all of these tax planning, estate planning, those are some of the things that we would sit down and go through.
So you actually when you have this heart-to-heart conversation with someone, you literally talk about every conceivable thing that could happen along the way. It's interesting because I've been a single person for a long time, so I haven't ever had somebody else responsible for paying the bills. But I've heard that a lot, that often women are married and their husband took care of everything, and then when they're gone, all of a sudden they find out, oh, I don't even know how to write a check or how to do some of these things that for someone like me is common. It's just, I had to learn how to do that. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your perception of the benefits of working with a financial advisor, and why is it important that all of these plans be personalized?
Sure. I think two things. One, your goals are not everyone else's goals. And so that's where we start with having a personalized process. Maybe you want to travel 3 times a year and spend $10,000, and another client wants to buy a second vacation home, and maybe another client just wants a very quiet retirement. So figuring out what the financial goals are is the reason that we have to have personalized plans. And once we know what a client needs, what their goals are, what their needs are, then you can create an investment strategy that will meet those needs. Okay, I know you need this much money a year. This is the type of investment that will get us there. And so I think the personal part starts with the goals. Another benefit to working with a financial advisor is the discipline. Some people do not have the discipline to follow a financial plan. And when you work with an advisor, you have someone there who's coaching you and wants you to be successful and is willing to help you stay on track and hold you accountable to your goals. And then the last thing I'll just add to that is the emotional side of money, which I talked about earlier. But some people, when they log in and they look at their 401k or their retirement account, and we hear in the news that the market's done this or the market's done that, they have the tendency to make an emotional decision. But when you work with a financial advisor, that can help eliminate some of that impulsive emotional decisions just based on noise. And we're constantly surrounded with noise in this industry.
So all the ups and downs of the stock market, that would make somebody maybe panic. If let's say there's a stock market drop, and somebody might panic and think, oh my goodness, I better pull all my money out and sell in advance. Or maybe the stock market goes up and so they want to buy more, but maybe that might not be the best place to put their money. Yeah, I can see where you'd need somebody who's kind of unemotional and calm in order to help you make those decisions and navigate. What are some of the most common fears that you run into when you're working with your clients?
Sure. So one thing that I found out, or discovered in the last 8 years is that people often don't use a financial advisor because they think they have to have a lot of money to have a financial advisor. And that's simply not true. There's an advisor out there who wants to work with everyone. And if you haven't found one yet, keep looking. Because financial planning isn't designed only for the ultra wealthy or the wealthy. Everyone needs to find a financial advisor so that they can build wealth, whatever that means to them. But I think another thing that keeps people from going to use a financial advisor is a fear of failure or of being embarrassed about their financial situation. Money is a taboo topic like sex, politics, religion, and we're afraid to talk about it because we don't want to be embarrassed or feel judged about maybe a poor decision we made or about not doing enough or being compared to our peers. And the only way that we can move forward from that is by having more open and honest discussions about our money. When you're out with your friends, ask how they might handle a certain situation. Are they contributing to their 401k? We can have conversations about money without sharing too much personal information, but that's also how we're going to move forward in having these conversations and educating each other. And I think one other fear that people have is they're worried they don't have enough money saved. I think that goes along with embarrassed or failure, but about looking stupid. They don't want to look stupid or feel like they're asking questions they should know the answers to. And I know I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we don't learn financial literacy. It's not taught in most schools or curriculum today. And so where we learn about money is oftentimes our parents, sometimes a good thing and sometimes not a good thing. You know, our parents teach us a lot of things subconsciously that we don't even know. And I had done a webinar not too long ago about talking to your kids about money and what are some ways that you can do that will improve the way they view money moving forward in their life.
When you were talking about that, I was thinking, of course, what I remember hearing from my parents. Okay, money doesn't grow on trees. That was a real famous line that I think my dad said quite often. And then he also said he was a veteran with the VA, so he had VA benefits. And when it came to insurance, he would always say, "I don't believe in insurance." And I never quite understood what he meant, but I think it was because he had the veterans benefits, so he figured that he was good. One of the fears, when you are dealing with women, some of these women, obviously, if they've been married a long time and all of a sudden they're divorced, you know, they could have been married, you know, I don't know, 30, 40 years. Do you ever get people where one of their fears is it too late? Is it ever too late?
Yeah, that's a common question. And the answer is no. The best time to do something is now. So even if you feel like it's already too late, even if you're 50 years old and thinking about, well, I haven't started my 401k now, so why do it now? It's not too late. You still have time. I'd say the best decision you can do is to take action. If you don't know the action, talk to somebody about what you can do. Even if, you know, you're in your 60s or 70s, and I have had consultations with clients who come to me and want to retire, and maybe they're not in a good financial situation where they have a lot of debt. And so when they originally came to me and said, you know, I want to do a retirement plan, and they end up leaving with a debt reduction plan, that's okay. We're making progress. And so there's different ways. It's never too late. There are just different ways to how we might approach something given your resources and your circumstances.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because when you're saying that, for example, my father, he just passed away and he was 93. So if I'm 60, that means that's 33 years beyond now. And that's a long time to have, you know, you have to be living, and have some type of money coming in so that you can support yourself. So I imagine for some people, you know, if they, like me, I look and go, well, that's 33 years that I have a potential of, you know, if my dad made it that far, I might make it that far. And so that's quite a few years to think of. So as I wanted to ask you a little bit more about you and the success that you've had along the way. What have been some of the events that you've experienced that really have helped you to become successful? Because like you said, you took advantage of that opportunity when someone was selling their practice or whatever it's called in financial planning land.
Yes. And hard work. Definitely, it's not easy to be a financial advisor. It's not easy to be a financial advisor in general, and then add in youth and gender. And there are some additional complications. There are still some stigmas around what a financial advisor looks like and talks like and acts like. And that those are barriers that younger advisors, we have to overcome. And making people think that I know something about money is challenging with some older clients. They look at you or me and they say, oh, she's a young girl. And I still have clients who think I'm an assistant to the partner in my office who will ask me, he going to be mad you're not back? And I'm like, no, you pay my salary, not him. But my first few years, I was networking every night, out in the community, being involved, making sure people know who you are. And I know that's hard right now in the pandemic, but there are still ways to do it. During this pandemic, I used that as an opportunity to really start doing some other marketing efforts. I do a monthly webinar. I have a monthly newsletter. I've done some different speaking engagements and trying to really work on my digital marketing and creating a face online. But outside of purchasing a book of business and then really working that business, and then networking, I also am involved in a number of organizations in the community. I sit on a couple of nonprofit boards, a couple of different committees for nonprofits. I run an organization called 100 Women Who Care Omaha. I'm in a young professional group. You name it, I'm probably involved in some capacity. And that really helps me get in front of a lot of people.
So tell me a little bit more about the organization 100 Women Who Care.
Yeah, so we are a giving circle, and the goal is to be a group of 100 women or 100 plus. We're not quite there, but our goal is that we have 100 women who come to a meeting 4 times a year, and we pitch nonprofits that we like in the community. It has to be a local nonprofit. It has to be a 501c3. And then we all vote, and then we collectively make a donation to the selected charity. So what my $100 donation may not have that much of an impact on a local nonprofit, but when you add the power of 100, now we have a $10,000 donation, we can make a sizable impact on a lot of nonprofits. And so there's a 100 Care Alliance that's across the U.S. You can Google that, but this is a Omaha chapter of women, so 100 Women Who Care Omaha. And it's really an exciting thing that I'm a part of because you get to learn about a lot of things going on in your community that you weren't aware of. And I never leave a meeting without learning about a new nonprofit and even being able to share with people who may need services of a nonprofit or people that I know who have things they want to help with or are passionate about but may not know the right nonprofit to be involved with.
Wow, that's really phenomenal. You said that you do webinars on a regular basis, I guess once a month. What typically are the webinars about?
So any financial topic, and I'm always looking for new ideas, so anyone listening has a topic, feel free to reach out to me on that. But this month I'm doing it on what to do with your inheritance. So people who come into money who may not know where to start. But I've done them on everything from talking to your kids about money, to a market update, to financial implications of divorce, to budgeting and spending habits. So I'm always looking to provide information to people that's understandable and relatable. And occasionally I'll even partner with someone local or someone who has specific knowledge in a certain area, like an estate planning attorney or a CPA, and we may go in depth on talking about some relevant or timely topic there.
So with your background in helping divorced women or women in transition, do you ever do any podcasts or radio shows about those topics?
I have not yet. I've done a couple of webinars on similar topics, and I've been guests on a local women's empowerment show here, and I have taught classes to divorce attorneys on financial aspects of a divorce, but I've not specifically done a podcast. I don't have my own, and I haven't done a ton of them on other people specifically about women in transition, but definitely something on my radar.
Well, I think you definitely have a lot of really good information and teaching about this topic. I mean, just listening to you, I've learned quite a bit. if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
Whatever is easiest for you is what I always say. You can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook, Katie Bruno, CFP. You can call me. My phone number is 402-502-9827. You can email me. You can look me up on my website, and there's a link to contact me there with even a link to schedule an appointment if you wanted to. And so then my email is katie.bruno@raymondjames.com. But I always say whatever is easier for you to make the first step in reaching out, that's the way you should do it. I'm pretty flexible.
Okay. So I have another question that I've been thinking of. So if you are somebody who's trying to figure something out about your financial situation, what would the process look like to start working with a financial planner or a financial advisor?
Sure. So the first thing is to do your homework. You want to work with someone who knows they have your best interest. There's a quote or a mantra that I live by, and it's people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And when you're picking out a financial advisor, do your own interview with them. You should be asking them what their process is, how they get compensated, what kind of investments they use, how frequently you can expect to hear from them. I'd say interview a couple of different financial advisors and find one, because you want it to be someone whose values are aligned with yours and that you will feel comfortable having open, honest, vulnerable conversations about money. Now, I can tell you that my process starts with just an introductory conversation, and I don't ever follow a strict agenda when I do that, because a lot of times somebody will reach out and put something on my calendar, and then it's that first conversation we have where I realize, okay, there's a lot more going on here. And so after we have that initial consultation or conversation, then I'll put together a agenda moving forward for a second or third meeting. And I always tell people that, we're on their timeline. I don't want you to keep putting something off. There's a difference between procrastination and making an educated, thoughtful decision. And so take your time, do your research, and find someone that it just feels right. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Well, I think everyone can relate to that, especially in these times when, like right now, we're in a pandemic and people are having, like you said earlier, maybe they've lost a job or they're experiencing a life change like a divorce or widowhood or inheritance. Life right now is so up and down. Before I forget, I wanted to ask you, we've talked a lot about how you help your clients. What would you say is like the one big problem that you solve for people? What is it?
Financial peace of mind.
Financial peace of mind. That is a pretty big problem that needs to be solved, because if you have peace of mind, the more I talk to you, the more I'm going, again, the reason I asked you about, is it too late? Because many people, for example, back in the real estate crash or that time in 2008, I think the 401ks and everything crashed also in the 2000s. So I imagine that's always on people's minds, the what ifs and how do I recover from all of these different episodes. And would you say that talking with a financial planner would give somebody peace of mind if they're in that recovery mode?
I think so. And especially this year, it was an emotional roller coaster and it was a roller coaster even with the stock market and the pandemic. In the crisis of 2007, 2009, the market was down about 45% at one point. And if you held on and if you owned good stuff and you held on and didn't make any emotional or impulsive decisions, you eventually got your money back. And we experienced a very similar thing in March of this year. We had a 34% loss on the market, and it was quick, and people were scared. And people were scared about their health. For a while there, we had people who wouldn't leave their house. It was a scary moment for a lot of people, and just not enough information. And that's kind of how it works with your money. You're scared and you don't have enough information to make the right decision. But this year, the market was fully recovered from those losses within a few months. So we had a much quicker rebound than we had in the Great Recession. Now, the financial peace of mind part, I don't think I really went a lot of meetings this year without talking about either the election or COVID, because people were worried about what those two things would do, impact those two things would have on their money. So I'm going to joke when I say this, but sometimes I'm just a therapist. But even, people will call and we'll have a conversation like, okay, you know what, I feel better. And when you have a financial plan, we've talked about what would happen to your when you have a true financial plan. We have conversations about what would this look like if we had another Great Recession the year you retired. And I can tell you what that would look like using the financial planning tools that I use. Or you could say, what happens if I lose my job? Or what happens if I have a long-term care event and need nursing home care? What does that do to my financial plan? And these are all situations that I can help. And so when these conversations do come up, and I had a lot of these conversations this year, the market's down, Mike, just remember we have a long-term plan. This day-to-day stuff is noise. We have a plan. We know, we've run the numbers. We know, and we're hopeful about the future.
So that sounds like a good place for us to cap our conversation, to remind people that a lot of the ups and downs is called noise. And that if you have this relationship with your financial planner advisor, then you have somebody to talk about, and they literally, like you just said, you can talk somebody off the edge because you're looking at it from an educated perspective, and you can run all the scenarios and tell them, well, if this happens, this is what happens to your money and what we need to do to counter that. So I learned a lot about that because I didn't really realize about that you have these tools at your disposal and know how to use them so that you can run scenarios and say, well, this is what it would look like based on the numbers, right? It's all about the numbers and time, I guess. Am I even close?
Yes, you were very close. You are spot on. It's about the math has to add up. Math wins, but timing matters too. I mean, you can't come to me and say, I want to be a millionaire tomorrow. I can't make you any promises with that, but I can tell you what we would need to do to get you where you want to go and show you what some hiccups along the way would look like and do. But I think just providing that plan really makes people feel more grounded and disciplined in their financial goals.
Well, I think that's really interesting. So know your numbers and be realistic about the time you have to get where you want to go.
And find an advisor.
So everyone, we've been speaking with Katie Bruno, and she is a financial planner with Maury and Quinn Wealth Partners. And I don't know about anyone else, but I know for a fact, Katie, that I learned a lot. And when you were talking about some of the obstacles you face, about that you're a young woman, I was it's funny because I didn't go there. in my mind, I was just listening to, wow, this person is brilliant. I should listen to her. So I just think that's interesting that those are some of the obstacles that we face still in 2021, is that people have a perception of what a financial planner looks like. That's very interesting. So before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on your podcast. And I'm looking forward to being able to work together in the future.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. Again, we've been speaking with Katie Bruno, financial planner with Maureen Quinn Wealth Partners in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.